How you doing, everyone? Welcome back. Well, you probably heard the big news, right? The Nobel Peace Prize was awarded. The big winner was Donald... No, it wasn't either. It was not Donald Trump. It was Maria Corina Machado of Venezuela. Huh. Not Donald Trump. Not the guy who's been begging for it. Doing nothing to actually earn it, but begging for it. Oh, and by the way, um, unless he was nominated back in January or before, right? Because nominations are open now for the 2026 prize, but they have to be submitted by January 31st, right? So January 31st, 2025 was the cutoff date for nominations for the Nobel Peace Prize for this year. All right, there were 300 and 34, 38. I don't know. We're going to call it, about 340 or so, right? Nominees. So somewhere in the 340 range is how many nominees there were. Was Donald Trump one of them? Who knows? That information will be kept under wraps. It is kept secret, and it is unsealed 50 years later. So, if you're still alive in 2075, odds are I will not be, but if you are, right, then you'll find out if Donald Trump was actually nominated. Of course, by that time, would you even care? Because he will be long gone by then. And I will be long gone by then, more than likely. So, who knows? Who cares? I mean, he certainly hadn't solved 8 wars, or however, what's he up to? About 32 wars now that he has solved, including pre-wars. Pre-war? What is a pre-war? Yeah. Look, some facts on the wars that he has solved. First of all, some of them, there's still conflict going on. Others were never actual wars. Azerbaijan and Albania, Azerbaijan and Albania have never been at war with each other. Or Azerbaijan, I guess, right? Azerbaijan? No, Azerbaijan. And when you start begging for a Nobel Peace Prize, you don't deserve it. You just don't. Right? Oh, and by the way, what I was saying about the wars that he had solved. First of all, there were 2 of them he said that he would solve on day 1. They're still ongoing. There were others, like I said, they were either not wars at all, or, they weren't even really fighting. Like, one of them was a dispute. Like, no military action was taken, but they had a dispute over water issues or something. Like, I want to say it was Egypt and Somalia, maybe? I'm not sure. It's something to do with the Nile River, right over the Nile. But Egypt and one of its neighboring countries. But it wasn't actually a war. It was just a, hey, you know what? Let's, we need to solve this, right? And things got a little bit tense, but there was no war, right? And he didn't solve a war between India and Pakistan, right? Now, there were some conflicts where he was credited with brokering a deal, and if that's true, fine, good for him for doing that, right? But he hasn't solved 8, 9, 10, 15, 32, 146 wars, you know? He just hasn't. In fact, as he's bragging about solving all these wars, he interjected us into a war between Israel and Iran, right? President of peace, right? He has threatened Canada, Greenland, Mexico, Venezuela, Panama. He has actually attacked Venezuelan boats. Like, not just attacked them, like blew them up. We're not even talking ships, right? We're talking just boats. You know, you might be able to fit a dozen people in some of these boats. You know, because he said that they were one thing, but couldn't provide any proof of it. And you don't just go blowing shit up in the fucking water anyway, dumbass. You just don't do that. We're not at war with Venezuela. But he's talking about invading Venezuela. Oh, and something else that you don't do if you want a Nobel Peace Prize. So even if you were nominated, maybe this kind of led to you not winning. How about don't go to war against your own country, dumbass? He is at war with his own country. But yeah. Yeah, he deserves a Nobel Peace Prize, right? And then Stephen Chung, one of his loudmouth sycophants, he went on some kind of, I don't remember exactly what he said, but something to the effect of, this proves that the Nobel Committee is concerned with politics and not peace. Okay, was he even nominated in time? For one, all right? Answer me that question first. And if he was, how can you justify him receiving a Nobel Peace Prize as he interjects himself into a war between Iran and Iran and Israel? He blows up Venezuelan boats off the coast of Venezuela. He is sending the National Guard into cities across the United States. Look what ICE is doing at his direction, right? Brutalizing people on our streets. Oh yeah, and then, like I said, there's the threats to Canada and Greenland and Mexico, and you know, he wants to make Gaza basically a Trump resort. But yeah, he deserves a Nobel Peace Prize, doesn't he? He deserves a Nobel Peace Prize, right? And then loony Laura Loomer. If you're not familiar with Laura Loomer, look, maybe attacking someone's appearance is not the right thing to do, right? Trust me, I'm fully aware of how I look. But her face, look, she used to look like a normal human being, right? But her face looks like it was put together by a 3-year-old with Play-Doh, right? And because that's how bad the plastic surgery is. I think she wants to be the Mar-a-Lago it girl. She tried to get that Mar-a-Lago makeover, and it just did not go well. But yeah, she also went on a social media tirade about how Trump was snubbed for the Nobel Peace Prize. But again, I ask the question: was he nominated? Was he nominated prior to January 31st? I mean, he has a lifetime of actions showing that he is not deserving of it. But yeah, tell you what, he can get upset and he can cry about it all he wants. And me, I'm going to sit back here and laugh at him because you can't beg for a prize and then cry about it when you don't win. That's what entitled little brats do. That's what entitled little brats do. You know. But what do you expect? That's all he's ever been, isn't it? Anyway, congratulations to I just drew a blank on her name, Maria Corina Machado, for winning the Nobel Peace Prize. And Donald Trump, you didn't get it. Anyway, I'll see you next time.